Hi, I'm not wearing any pants, and this is Chilling in the Nightmare, and I'm about to hurt people's feelings. But it's for a good reason, and people have had a lot of hurt feelings lately, and even on top of all the pain that they're feeling, I'm going to contest that you should have even a little more pain. As a matter of fact, for all the injury in your life, I am going to add the insult here. Now, what am I driving toward? I've had a lot of pain related to this situation. It was very painful for me to struggle for years and years and years and years and years to get somebody to listen, to get somebody to understand, to get somebody to hear the truth and acknowledge the lies. It was really painful for me to witness an entire nation's worth of willful ignorance. Even when things are so obvious that you're staring them in the face and you still cannot admit the truth, it's hard for me to feel bad for you. Now, what I'm really talking about is unemployed people and homeless people. It used to be that unemployed people were grown adult men fallen on hard times. But now, because we live in an economic wasteland, everybody has to be employed, and a lot of people are not employed. Or it's not just an economic wasteland, it's a wasteland in a lot of different respects. But you could call it a cyberpunk wasteland if you want. But anyways, we're seeing all these videos, everybody's unemployed, and they're all, how do I get a job? I don't have any money, I can't find a job, there's no jobs, what are we gonna do? Well, they figure it out. And that's the first world becoming the third world. What do they do in the third world when they don't have any money? Well, they don't eat. And what do they do in the third world when they don't have any money? Well, they don't have any place to live. Now you're finding all these people, I'm living in a shed, and I'm living in an abandoned tool shed on a condemned property, or I'm living in a storage unit is the big one. I'm living in my van in this parking lot. I ran out of gas. I'm trapped in this parking lot. Which I understand if you're a young person, why not? Young people are living in a different world. And I'm not saying that it should be like this for anybody. But what I am saying is if at any point in time somebody tried to explain to you the nature of conspiracy and the nature of evil and how we're living in a world that is dominated by evil, and you just said, whatever, conspiracy, go put your tinfoil hat on. I've got to go work at the Starbucks. Or whatever people say. If you're ever that kind of person who turned your back on somebody who was trying to show you the truth, then I don't feel bad for you, and you deserve your perilous predicament. If you can't find a place to live, and you at any point in time turned your back on the truth, then I don't feel bad for you, because the truth is the only thing that means anything. There is only one truth, and it is the most important thing on earth. And as they say, anything that can be destroyed by the truth should be destroyed by the truth. But I witnessed this in my own life, family members, close friends, loved ones, everybody you can imagine turned their back on the truth. They turned a blind eye to the truth. They turned a deaf ear to the truth. They turned away from me when I was embodying the truth. And, what became of these people is here nor there, but all people are one peoples. And now look at us. What have we become? You reap what you sow. You sowed seeds of willful ignorance. You reap fruits of homelessness and unemployment. I mean, it was so obvious. And I want to talk about Ine 11A, because for me, I found out the truth about Ine 11A. Maybe I can say it some other way. Upside down 6 double ones. Let's say upside down 6 double. That's not better than Ine 11A, but we're just gonna say upside down 6 11 ones. Two ones. You'll know what I'm talking about. I found out about upside down 6 double ones when I was, I don't know how old, 21, 22. It was 2008. I know what year it was. It was 2008 because I saw that movie Oosle Ainge J. Anyways, if you know about Oosle Ainge J, then you know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't matter. It was the upside down 6 double ones truth video. And ever since 2008, I've been showing people the truth, learning the truth. I knew that things were not ideal. Just from listening to Rage Against the Machine, I knew that there was problems in the world and that we were in a bad situation. But I was too brain dead, uninterested, not really smart enough to figure it out or anything. But I really didn't know the extent. Maybe I knew just a little bit about evil, just from, wandering around and seeing the way things are. But I did not know anything about the truth. But learning about upside down 6 double ones, I learned more about the truth. And so from 2008, when it was shown to me clearly, plain as day, the way things really are, I set out to show other people who were like me in 2007. They just didn't know. And I was like, well, we got to wake them up. We got to let them know. We got to do something about this situation. And they just ignored me, which was very weird. It wasn't that weird because, you could see that they're brainwashed and mind-controlled and hypnotized. So in the context of brainwashing and mind control and hypnosis, it's not hard to understand why we have failed as a society. But if you're pretending that people are not brainwashed, then you probably are brainwashed. And if you're pretending people are not mind controlled, then you probably are mind controlled. And if you're pretending people are not hypnotized, then you probably are hypnotized. But assuming there's no mind control, hypnosis, and brainwashing, then, people should have come around. Hold on, I got a text message. It's nothing. Cool. People should have come around. They didn't come around. And it was hard to watch that. It wasn't just a one-time thing. I'm still doing it. I'm doing it right now. It's something that's been a big part of my life, to try and make people understand the truth about evil. And that's why I'm always saying that stupidity is the greatest evil, because you gotta be a freaking idiot to not just face the facts. I mean, what do you think anybody has to gain? What do you think I have to gain? I'm gonna get 15 views on this, and I'm here trying to explain to you that there is evil that is in control, and all it needs is your stupidity. It doesn't need anything else. And you know, and for all these people who are unemployed and homeless, they're not, that's the problem, is they're such ordinary people. There's nothing special about these people. They are run-of-the-mill normies. They're as normative as normies can get. And they're out there, can't get a job, can't find a place to live, sleeping in their cars, living off of, you know, rice and beans. And normally I would feel bad for them, but since 2008, what is that? What even years? It's 2025 now, almost 20 years, 17 years. I've been witnessing firsthand, over and over again, day in and day out, willful ignorance of people. If they would just face the facts and admit the truth, you might have had some hope. Not only would you have some hope, I, as a person, and my children would have had some hope if you would just have some common sense to admit the truth. It's not even like a stretch of the imagination. It's just the truth. And it's complicated, you know, but that's it. You know what else is? Driving is complicated. People do it all the time. You know, filing your taxes is complicated, and people do it all the time. People do complicated things when it's in their own interest. But for all these dickheads out there, it was in their own interest to ignore the truth. And they would bend over backwards and do mental gymnastics to ignore the truth because it was encouraged. They were the people encouraging you to be stupid were the people who are doing the evil. You know, I'm here trying to do a public service, you know, and it's incomparable. It's just good versus evil, and good is just this tiny little thing, like one guy saying something that should be obvious if you just take a second look. And evil is the propaganda, you know, and evil is the false flag. Evil is the oligarchs, and evil is the system, evil is the money, evil is all these things. But the truth is just, you know, is just your friend, your boyfriend, you know, your brother or sister, your cousin. The truth is just a person saying a thing, you know, and you think, oh, this is just a person saying a thing. Yeah, that's the most important thing. You think that if it's not on the television, if it's not on a billboard, I'll tell you something about billboards. If you see a political message on a billboard, it's evil. They don't put good political messages on billboards. They put evil political messages on billboard. Just like they don't put money into peace. They put money into whatever the opposite of peace is, because that's what generates revenue. There's no money in peace. There's no money in goodwill. There's no money in intelligence. There's money in artificial intelligence, I guess, because we're so deficient in intelligence at this point that it created a problem where they had to engineer new technologies to accommodate for the problem that they had created by dumbing everybody down. But how there's so much money in stupidity. And so now look at us, unemployed and homeless. The first world is the third world. This is what it is. We have poverty now. You had an opportunity to escape poverty if you would only see what was plainly visible of these buildings exploding into smithereens because they were laced with Annonay ermite thay. You didn't want to see it. You didn't want to face it. You wanted to turn your back on the people who were trying to help you. And now you're unemployed and homeless, and I don't feel bad for you. As a matter of fact, if you're somebody who really had an opportunity to admit the truth and you decided that it was more important to live a lie, I think you deserve it, honestly. Everybody else who's just too stupid, I don't want to say that everybody who's unemployed and homeless is stupid, because it's actually a smart thing to do for a lot of people. Being unemployed and homeless is a freaking genius move if you're, about that life. But for people who wanted jobs and wanted homes, but didn't want to admit that upside down 6 double ones was a inside A object, then I don't really care. And I'm just saying, these people who are now unemployed or homeless are the same ones that called us tinfoil hat weirdos or whatever. They're just normies, and it's sad because the normies are, if the normies can't make it, then nobody can, and the normies are not making it. And I'm doing okay, but I don't know for how long. I'm making it because of grit and perseverance and dedication, and it's not easy, but I'm doing it. But I can see a future where I can't do it anymore, where something goes wrong and I fail and I'm one of these unemployed homeless people, and Lord only knows what's going to happen to my family in that kind of a future. But I at least will know that I tried to make the world a better place. And when I saw the truth, I embraced the truth, and I did the right thing, which was to help others to find the truth, even if I wasn't very good at it, or and it didn't have much of an effect at all. I never gave up, and I always tried. And the people who turn their back on the truth, this is the world that you created. Don't forget that you're the same ones who, were afraid of the air and wore a mask to walk into a place, but then sat down and took the mask off because it's safe if you're sitting down, but then you put the mask back on and walked up out of the place, and you injected, toxic chemicals, experimental drugs into your body because you wanted to, something about voting. You wanted your political affiliations to be victorious or some nonsense. I don't know. Or you wanted the rich people to get richer or whatever. You just wanted to fit in with the crowd. Well, you're fitting in with the crowd now. You're the unemployed homeless crowd, and you're all right where you belong. And I don't feel bad for you, and I hope it sucks. For everybody who does embrace the truth, I'm sorry that things are like this, but we know who's to blame, and it's not the evil people, it's the stupid people, because without stupid people there'd be no evil people. So for all the stupid people, this is for you. And for all the smart people, I'm sorry, because I don't know what to do about it. But I just wanted to rub some salt in their wounds, and I guess I've done that. So Deuces.